So we're talking about the top 5 shooting guards going into next season. James Harden is number 1, and that's about all I need to say about that one. So we move on to number 2. It's a player where no one can decide what his actual position is, but I'm going to go with Jimmy Butler because the great website in the sky known as Basketball Reference considers him to be a shooting guard, so I'm going to do the same thing, and if that's the case, I think JB is number 2. If you're not going to be the elite offensive player like James Harden, then if you can still be very good offensively and really just be that as an all-around player where, sure, maybe Jimmy Butler is not elite in any one category other than defense, where he's probably towards the top, but the combination of his playmaking, leadership, and his abilities to create still a decent amount offensively, I think would make him the second best 2 guard in the NBA. Number 3, this one may be seen as a bit of a hot take, I don't know. I have DeRozan 3rd. Now the big thing here is this is going into this upcoming season, and I think while we see DeRozan a Raptors thing right now, I think going to the Spurs is just going to be huge for him. I mean, I made a video about it not long ago where I just said, like, the opportunity for DeRozan here is huge because, like, better offense, maybe not better teammates, but just, like, a more of a structured team and definitely a better head coach in Greg Popovich, as well as some extra motivation to prove the doubters wrong, I guess. Now, I guess the problem with DeRozan could be seen as his playoff performances, which have been pretty weak. I mean, this last series against the Cavs, he was not exactly good, and if he maintains that, then it's going to be tough to really consider him up there amongst the best 2 guards, but I think he's going to be a little better. I think he's going to show out for the Spurs, and yeah, I mean, his defense, his 3-point shooting, his playmaking, all these things are not as good as you'd want them to be, but if you can put up damn near 30 points a game, then that makes up for some of it. Victor Oladipo at number 4. I think the question with him is, does he go up another level this season? I mean, we didn't see him rising to where he ended up as this previous year for the Pacers, where, I mean, people were looking at that team as being a lottery team with not much actual offense, and then before you notice, they're, like 12th in offense or whatever, and they're pushing the Cavaliers to a Game 7 in round 1. So now this team and Oladipo's expectations are a bit higher going into this new season, and while I don't expect him to make another drastic jump, because if he does that, then he'll be like one of the 6 best players in the league probably. Could we still see a marginal one? Potentially. I mean, his jump shot is pretty refined at this point. He was really confident going off the dribble with pull-ups and contested threes and all that, but hey, perhaps he'll get closer to like Steph Curry levels as a shooter where you just can't lay off of him really at all. Maybe that is his next improvement. Maybe he goes to a different level as a playmaker. I don't know, but I think he's earned the expectation of improving his game. I mean, that's what the great players do, right? You always add something new to your game every offseason. Oladipo is now a great player, so we'll just see what he's got. And then finally, number 5, maybe the most boring pick here, Klay Thompson. And I say boring just because Klay is the one where there's not really like much change from season to season at this point. He's just really good, and that's what he is. Oladipo, I don't think has hit his ceiling. I think DeRozan has a chance to get better, whereas Klay is just going to be the elite outside shooter, the great defender. Why don't I have him above Oladipo or DeRozan? I don't know. I mean, I think they're kind of interchangeable. I think the 2-guard competition has quietly actually gotten pretty decent over the last like 2 years or so. I guess it would just be me thinking that those 2 are just going to make some sort of a jump, whereas Klay is just going to be Klay, and, you know, nothing wrong with that, of course. We're going to do some honorable mentions, some guys that I had to think about, at least for a little bit. The first one being Donovan Mitchell of the Jazz. Pretty damn impressive rookie season, but his inefficiencies in his first year, I don't picture them completely going away. I think by his 3rd or 4th year, he'll probably be rid of those problems, but I mean, while it was pretty crazy what he did in his first season, leading the Jazz's offense and getting them to round 2, there were times when he took some bad shots. There were times when he didn't totally know what to do with the possession and he had to just kind of figure it out of nowhere. So just getting smarter as a player, I think, would be huge for him. I almost put Devin Booker in at number 5 because, I mean, with how good he's been, with how young he is, I mean, he's still only like 21 years old, and with the lack of real talent around him, you would think now that he's got just actual pieces. I mean, they just traded for Ryan Anderson, who's going to give them spacing. TJ Warren is still here. Josh Jackson's in his second year. Of course, we have number 1 overall pick Deandre Eaton, who's going to be a source of pick and rolls, some pick and pops, alley-oops, and just another guy the defense has to really pay attention to. I think there is a real case to be made for Devin Booker becoming one of the 5 best 2 guards in the league this season, but I just didn't have the guts. It's pretty tough to pick like a 22-year-old to be in there over, the guys who have been there for a while now. But hey, the kid is really good, and I'm sure at some point he'll be a mainstay in this conversation. And then finally, Bradley Beal, who remains an NBA player.